I'm MC Toon, the worst rapper in the world. Good evening. It is Tuesday night, live from Minneapolis. I have in the house both Adele and Phillip Kornelis Amon. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Enough.
Thanks.
Awesome. Now, for those watching, neither of them are going to be on screen, but they might be presenting things. I will arrange to have something other than just my face to look at while they're talking. But now, if this is your first time watching the stream, go ahead and consider subscribing and hitting the bell if you're at it, so that you know when I have the next debate or live stream or video. Got a one later tonight at 11 p.m. Central Time. So this debate I am moderating. It is between Dell and Phillip. I will give each of them maybe they're going to just kind of have a back and forth, not very structured. But I think it'd be great if both of them had just a short introduction that wasn't really evidence presenting, just kind of who I am and in general what you think. So Dell, would you like to start?
Sure. Just like a kind of overview of the points, or
who you are and what position you're going to be addressing.
Well, I work with different robotics platforms, dynamic inertial compensation systems for bipedal platforms mostly. I'm going to be just kind of getting to know about the position more. Just kind of elaborating on things and getting some clarification. Because I've seen other debates of his, and I just want to kind of learn what he's, get the details of it to see what there's any truth or anything hidden in there.
All right, and anything from you, Phillip?
Yeah, my name is Phillip. I'm Christian with Aman.
Hold on, Phillip. Your audio is something's not good with your audio. You really were cutting out. So if you're on wireless, maybe reposition yourself.
Testing 2 3. Is that any better?
It sounds a little better. There's a little cutout still, but go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Phillip. I'm a Christian with a YouTube channel titled Phillip Kornelis Amon. I'm here to debate Dell on the topic of cosmogony in reference to the existence of God. I take the position that the tangible universe had a beginning, contingent on an immaterial and omnipotent cause, and this comports with Genesis 1:1 in the Bible. If you reject that, your only alternative is eternal, tangible energy and matter, which is debunked with the laws of physics in conjunction with the laws of metaphysics. I yield.
All right. With that, I will just let the two of you go ahead and talk.
All right. In conjunction with the laws of metaphysics. Do you mean it's together, or what do you mean by that? I guess would be a good
metaphysics, the laws of logic. That's what I mean by metaphysics.
Okay. All right. So I guess just by the first mover, you're saying that there has to be something that starts it. Like if I have a ball on a hill, I have to push it off for it to start going or to stay. Is that kind of what you mean? Or
yeah, if you extrapolate your belief of gravity to a secular Big Bang, mm-hmm. Gravity shares attributes that of a god because they are both immaterial, eternal, omnipresent, and omnipotent to have the ability to interact.
What do you mean omnipotent?
Omnipotent meaning all powerful.
But I mean, would that require some kind of sentience, or is that just I don't know what that would be entailing completely.
Yeah, well, the gravity...
I guess, are you saying gravity is an agent, or is it just a thing that exists?
Gravity is just a label for an immaterial force that shares attributes that to an immaterial God. So to play this out, you go back to terminus equo, meaning the earliest starting point for any movement to this universe. So if you believe in a secular Big Bang, you have to assert gravity being the necessary primary mover to get you the very first movement of tangible energy and matter. So that gravity...
So that would happen before the Big Bang, or like, are you saying that's what caused it? Like, what do you mean by the first mover? Like the mover that started the whole thing, as in it existed before the Big Bang, or like right as it started, or like...
Yeah, well, the first mover to get you the protostar, to get you hydrogen. So that the gravity is moving internally. Therefore, it has the information to interact with tangible matter. So
I think the thing I'm not getting is like, why are you giving it agency? Like, what? Because I don't know that part. Like I could agree with all the other, it's the first mover. Like, why does it have why does it have agency is my thing.
Because it is moving internally, not contingent on a third particular.
Like it can move itself? Or by internally, do you mean it's...
You need an unmoved mover who is not contingent on...
But what do you mean by internally? You mean it doesn't have any external things about it that make it move? It is itself moving?
Yeah. So humans are moving internally.
Correct.
So extrapolate that back.
Like, that's another point though. Like by movement, that's just living things that move?
Yeah, living... That's what we observe today, is that the living is moving internally.
But by living, you don't mean made out of like flesh and things. You mean like living as in it has agency. It doesn't necessarily have to be made out of skin.
It just means it's moving, not contingent on an outside force. So this comports with...
So humans also fall into that category then. They would also fall into that because they move from their internal actions. Like they are powered by... I don't have to push my arm, or someone doesn't have to push my arm to make me move. I can move like my own. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then the other issue is what defines that in like a robot? If you're going to go that way.
But the robot... Yeah, but the robot is... We know through observation that it was made from intelligence. But we are on the topic of cosmogony.
Correct.
So if you...
But I would argue that's even more like the universe, because that's powered by like electrons. You're literally like using the power of the universe to move this thing.
Like, I need to ask you questions so that I have a better understanding on your worldview.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you believe that tangible matter is eternal, or did it have a beginning?
Tangible matter is in stuff I can physically go touch and like interact with.
Yeah. So the material.
The actual stuff that makes things up.
The material for the universe, is that eternal in your worldview, or did it have a beginning?
That would be kind of basically by eternal, but for the sake of this, I'll say it has a finite point of where it began to be what we know as material.
And that's too vague. So did it pop into existence, or is it eternal?
Well, it didn't pop into existence, but the problem is when you class it as like material matter, if it was transformed from some other super compressed thing, I don't know if you'd class that as being, this is the matter we had now and then, like, so for the sake of this, I'll just say it's not eternal. The stuff that is around us right now, matter, like what the table's made out of, is not eternal. No.
Okay, so do you believe in absolute nothingness as a starting point for the origin of the universe?
Absolute nothingness as the starting point for the universe. Like, so if you have the galaxy or the universe, you mean there's literally nothing in it that makes up, like there was nothing. Not like space nothing where there's little bits of particles. There was nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would class that, because if you believe that the universe is expanding, technically it's finite, but like everything happens within that only. So like it's infinite in itself. But I guess for the sake of the debate, you could say that it came from one singular point of borderline infinite density, maybe. So
Okay,
what were your options? Finite or infinite?
Yeah, it's finite in size, or it's infinite in size / omnipresent. So
I guess it's finite in size from what it would be, because it is literally all it is. Like you by definition can't have more than it is already. So it is finite within itself. But if you want to look at it from the inside going out, it is technically infinite, because you could keep going and it would expand faster. So I guess it could be infinite.
okay, you have two fallacies here. You're invoking a miracle that absolute nothingness was. Do you believe in absolute nothingness or not?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be the outside of what we know as the universe? Wouldn't the absolute nothingness be outside? Like, yeah,
so
but it's expanding into.
You believe you have like three fallacies here. I have to take this point by point. So you believe that absolute nothingness created tangible material. At the same time, absolute nothingness is outside the curvature of the universe. So
by curvature, do you mean it's a sphere? The universe is a giant sphere? Like, is it
itself three-dimensional? Yeah, the apex, the furthest point of the light.
Like from the center, if it was like a sphere, from the center out, it is a circular curvature thing. The curvature thing. I guess that's technically correct. Yeah, I would go with that.
And then the second fallacy is the material. I mean, you believe
material.
The material, that light that can't be destroyed and can be converted into matter. You believe that complexity. Hang on. You believe that complexity popped into existence randomly for a miracle. So that's the second fallacy. And then in order to get the expansion or to get any movement at all, you require an outside force. So to play this out, finite in size material popped into existence and it was in a state of rest. In order for that particular to move requires an outside force. That outside force would be outside curvature, which you wrote was absolute nothingness. But this nothingness, it's just a label for an immaterial God with an omnipotence to push
the nothingness is the God,
all tangible energy and matter
for it. You're saying the nothingness, the thing that I call nothingness, is the God to you. Sorry, you're kind of cutting out. I don't know if you're maybe get closer to your router or anything. So you're saying the thing that I call nothingness outside of the universe, to you, that's where God is, or that's what he is, or that's where he's like based?
The nothingness is just a label for an immaterial particular. So yes, God is outside the universe and inside.
I guess that would be an immaterial particular in the sense it literally is nothing, but that's what you're saying what God is. Is that what you mean, or?
But we know that the universe was created by an invisible force because energy and matter can't move on its own from the earliest starting point. It requires an outside force.
Well, like, because you said with light, it can't be like destroyed, but I mean, it depends on what you mean by destroyed. Because like, if you want to define light as what we're seeing, if I have a solar panel, like it can't be seen anymore. It's become electricity. So the light has technically, it's like, you know, if I have a hot dog and I put it in a blender and then I blend it up, the hot dog has been destroyed. It's not gone. It's just changed forms.
If that makes sense. You can't make it disappear.
Right.
If you go down to the quantum level, there's always something so minuscule still can't be removed out of existence. There will always be something there. So the complexity of the material today proves God alone. So to take this even further,
that depends on what you mean by God again. Are you trying to like place it as like the whole point though still is like I don't know how you're assigning it any kind of agency. Like I could see if you wanted to say for the sake of this, like there's a thing that made the universe, but like I don't know how you get to sentience from that.
You only have two options. It's either what you call the Big Bang. In order to get the expansion, you require a first mover. Your only two options is that tangible energy and matter moves on its own. That's alluding to P, which can be easily debunked. Your second alternative is an immaterial cause. That immaterial cause is outside the curvature of all finite, tangible energy and matter. So that immaterial
but granting all of that, how do you know that the immaterial, again, like, why couldn't the immaterial cause be I don't want to say mechanical, but something that's not sentient, but is still capable of like complex movement, even if you want to go that route? Like, if they want to give you that much of the debate, like, how do you know that it's making decisions and it's not just like an ant that just kind of counts its steps to get back to where it goes? It's not actually like thinking about what it's doing. Because it can't have the eye that looks in on itself.
Because the only explanation is that it is an unmoved mover. If you reject that, the burden of proof is on you to demonstrate what is the third particular. So you're going down an infinite causal relations, but that will always put you back to an unmoved mover. So you need just to summarize that, you need a primary mover who has everything from the start. God is a brute fact. There's no getting around it. He's a sentience.
Well, even if I was to say that, yes, there is a prime mover, the whole point is like, I have experience of things that can do really complex tasks and make new things that are, I wouldn't argue, are sentient. I don't know, would you argue like if a machine was complex enough that it could be technically a God because it's moving and it's internally moving?
Yeah, but look, there's no denying that life is another word for movement from the inside, not contingent on an outside particular.
But what do you mean by moving around the inside? Just using a human as an example, just so it can be easier understood. Like, not God forbid, just using a human, describe what that means, you know?
Yeah, like I'll give you an analogy. I'll use a different analogy than a human. So you have a line of dominoes, and you go to the first domino. In order for the first domino to tip over, requires an outside force, or the domino moved on its own. Therefore, the movement happened internally. Those are the only two options.
But if I have, like, so if I give it just a random, if I have it like I'm trying to think of a good analogy. If I have like a SCARA and I just put it on the table and I give it random number generators, have it go around, technically, given enough time, it'll knock over the dominoes. But it doesn't understand that that's what it's done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you were the intelligent agency behind the first
No, I didn't put it. I didn't give it any intelligence. There's no mind. It's just going through random numbers and random variables, and then it just does random movement patterns until eventually it just happens to hit the dominoes.
It can't be random because there are over octillion stars. So there is
Yeah, but
teleology.
given an unlimited amount of time, I mean, you would technically get a result eventually. I think it's statistically like more probable that you would get a ton of results than zero, given an infinite time frame. Like if you have, the monkey typewriter thing, you would have an infinite copy of every single book ever written.
Yeah, look, there's the movements. You have an unmoved mover, and then you have universal consistency that's being over septillion stars and planets. And so if you extrapolate that back to the unmoved mover, that unmoved mover has a consciousness for there to be.
But how would you define, like, would it have to be able to also react to like other stimulus in it and it's not just moving by itself?
The only explanation is that God is an unmoved mover because he is infinite in size.
But even if I was going to grant you God, why couldn't I just say God is the Scara? And then there you go. Scara, whatever you want to call it.
But that's just a label. You need an infinite primary mover.
I don't
can't have a finite. Because if you say that God is contingent on a second mover, well, then that would put that false God to be finite in size. The brute fact is that an infinite in size particular is necessary for there to be finite in size particulars. And so that puts God to be an unmoved mover. That's the only explanation.
But I don't know if Nicktoon is kind of seeing what I'm saying or not. Or maybe I'm not being clear. I don't know.
It was in the chat. Never mind me.
Okay. What?
There's something in the chat.
All right. I can't see the chat, so if you want to read it out, that's fine.
No. I might take a break in a minute or two here to read some things from the chat that might be on point here.
Well, so let's step back from everything and this is the question, all right? Okay. So if I put my Quantech on the desk, and it's way too big for that, but just for the sake of whatever. So I put that on the desk, and I have the dominoes on the floor, and it just has completely random numbers, just move it to random points all day, just moving around. And it eventually hits the dominoes that fall in the exact order they need to. But it's not sentient. I wouldn't class it as sentient. I wouldn't class that as an agent. I would class that as something that can move, but it's not aware that it's moving.
You were the one who set it all in motion, though, that analogy or scenario you were presenting.
I guess set in motion doesn't like set up the dominoes, but like I'm trying to grasp why you're saying it's alive, if that makes sense. Like define what you mean by alive. Like it has to move on its own and like internally, I think you said. It has to like respond to like this, tell me the basic like alive, what you would consider alive.
A human being consists of life because the movement from the receptors of the brain is inside the human vessel. So the cause to get the movement of your hand is happening internally. And that goes back to the domino analogy, is that...
Okay. Hold on, I have something on my desk that might help if I can. Nicktoon, would I be able to share the screen or no? Are you there?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I think he left. Okay. Let's see if I can start video. Did it go? Are we going?
Yes.
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my video?
No.
Okay, well, that's not going to be as helpful as I had hoped. Okay, so it comes from inside. Hold on. it comes from inside and it can react to things, right? Like, I don't know how you're distinguishing between machine and a sentient thing, unless you want to argue that like all machines are sentient, is my point.
Oh, is that a question?
Yeah, like I'm just gonna do a thing on my desk. I have a demo, I guess, not demo, but like I could try and use a prop to like make my point maybe more clear as like a point of, I don't know, just waiting for it to start. Yeah, I just want to nail down like my biggest point is, how do you know that just because it's moving that it's beyond that, because it has some internal thing? Is that what you mean by like inside isn't physically inside, or inside is like some spiritual hippie way, like we all have a soul inside kind of way?
Yeah, if you walk into a room and you find a robot moving, the only two conclusions that you'll come up with is that either someone made that robot or that robot consists of life.
Right.
So even if you make an assertion that a robot is the primary mover, well, then that's just a label for a moving God who consists of life.
Right. But like, okay, I have my example now, so I can try and like physically make my point. So imagine this is God, just for the sake of trying to clear this up, okay? Can you see my screen or no?
No.
This is going to be more difficult if you can't see the screen. Can you open the stream on a second page and like look at the screen, maybe?
Are you on a computer? Are you on a computer, Philip?
Yes. I'll have to get my
open a second
phone for this.
Or just another tab, and then you can mute it if you want.
Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't see that.
I don't know. I think it's easier to understand my question if I have like a physical thing to demonstrate.
Yeah, I could see your screen.
Okay, you can see this
on my phone, the live screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you can see?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the sake of the discussion for right now, I know it's not literally. This is God, right? Like for demonstration purposes, this is God. Okay, so like it can respond to things. Like if I knock it down really quickly, it'll respond as if it is a sentient thing. But like, how do you get from this to being like classed as actually sentient? Like, how do you know it's not just a mechanical thing that can like do really complex things on its own? If that makes sense. You know, like this. You know what I mean? Like it can respond to things. It could move things around. I don't know if you're talking, you're cutting out. Hold on, I'm gonna grab a paper. I have this paper ready to go in case I need it. So you have a thing. This is God. This is God. I don't know. You won't be cutting out. I don't know if you can still hear. Philip, you're really choppy. You're very choppy. You're still very choppy. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Is that...
It's not better if you're asking if it's better. Are you on a desktop computer that's connected with a wire or just Wi-Fi?
Rest, please. Thank you.
It's got to be Wi-Fi.
I don't know if he's on his phone or something. I don't know if this kind of made the point. Like if you get what I'm saying, you can go to sleep now. But you are loud, very loud. All right, I have my pen, so we're gonna try it diagram wise. If he's there, I don't know if he left.
He's connected,
The
I think.
robot, the toy you've got.
Oh, he's saying he can't hear
there
anymore.
is
Yeah.
Hello?
finite inside.
Are you there?
Philip.
Is
I can't hear anyone.
Philip.
Oh, he's like
Me-
really behind.
infinite inside.
All right. Hold on, Del, just a second.
Particular-
Philip.
Yeah.
And
Philip.
because
Philip.
God is infinite in size,
Philip,
he's not
just a second.
contingent on an outside force. So that
Maybe he's
puts God to
delayed.
being an unmoved mover.
Yeah.
So your toy there is on an outside.
Philip, can you hear us? Or
And we can
detect
demonstrate
a
God's
long time ago?
eternal attributes by him. We are already moving in that lucid to being an unmoved mover. I don't know if you can
I
hear
think
me
it's
or not.
catching up.
I
Philip.
can't hear you.
Philip, we can hear you,
Oh, there he is.
but you can't hear us, I think.
Like,
Oh, he's behind? Philip, are you there? Hello, Philip.
There's a
You like my God? I think I'm rivaling Team Skeptic on art style
Yeah.
here.
Give him a little smirk on one side.
hello.
That's my smirk. I'm a really bad artist.
There you go. That works. That's the smirk of omniscience.
Yeah. He knows your future.
Yeah,
He knows it's gonna be bad.
All right. So Philip,
We should have
whatever
organised this to be
What if you
debated
do you
on
need to close the
Discord.
other-
I'm having technical issues
see
here.
if I kill my camera? It'll help. Is that any better, Philip?
well, he wasn't seeing it anyway on Zoom. So Del, people are asking where they can buy one of those robots.
Well, you can buy them from SoftBank or Robot Lab, but they're not for like if you want to play around with them.
They're not for playing.
No, the starting cost is around 10,000.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to get one as like a birthday present, I don't know. Unless
put
you
it-
use for it.
I'll put it on my list.
I'm going to have to leave and rejoin.
That's probably a good
That's
idea.
fine. They're the now from SoftBank. They used to be made by Aldebaran, but they got bought up, so now they're from SoftBank.
All right, there we go. I see Gary Wybenga is poking around. Gary, you get the Vicky treatment until you agree to show up. So, Flat Feet Pete wanted one until he found out the price, I think.
You can get other ones, like. I don't know. Oh, he's pretty clear now, Philip. I can hear you. Okay.
We heard your groan.
Great. Oh Lord.
Oh, all right. He's all right. Looks like he's disconnected now.
He said he's going to try and reconnect. I think.
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe I don't know. Jolene said I was going to say shut up and take my money until I heard the cost. You have to be careful. There's a lot of scams that like use videos of him because it's kind of like a well-known robot.
Yeah.
They send you like a really like not great one, but they use him in the promotions. So just be careful when you look up like now robot. Buy from either SoftBank directly or from Robot Shop because don't get scammed.
So yeah, somebody said, I appreciate that. Don't time out Gary, but actually Gary gets the Vicky treatment, which means you get timed out. He just shows up, copy pastes stuff, and then doesn't provide anything very interesting. So Gary, you're welcome to come and debate me here. If you want to debate FTFE or Reds, you know where their channel is and how to contact them. So.
McToon isn't that scary. I don't know why you wouldn't want to come on here.
Yes. So if it's not a toy, what do you do with it?
Well, it's it's like a general research kind of platform. I'm running Microsoft Azure's image classification just for like different kind of machine vision training. And then I was going to try and run one of my neural network kind of like, I guess you class as an object recognition, but I run that on Jetsons now in its own little board. I don't know if you know what the NVIDIA Jetsons are. They're like a development, like a...
No, I'm not.
It's like a GPU on a little thing with a big heatsink, and they're specifically for machine learning. But it's just like a board. If you know what a Raspberry Pi is, it's like that,
yes.
but expensive.
I have one in my drawer here.
Yeah.
So Philip is reconnected.
Ooh.
Can you talk?
Are you back? Hello? I heard him for a second.
Yeah, I did. I heard him mention that he thought it should be on Discord, but I've used Zoom.
Yeah.
I've used Zoom for over a year and never had a problem.
Well, it's going fine.
Yeah.
Maybe he has 2 tabs, or
here is my Raspberry Pi that's been sitting there, and it's got a screen. Even.
You have a little case for it too?
Yeah, it's a clear plastic case.
I'm really not a responsible owner.
It came with it. It was stuff from. We got a couple at work. I ran black hole DNS on this actually for a while. Didn't like it.
I don't know if you can see my screen or not.
Yes.
I'll show you what a Jetson is. All right. So this is that server I'm running. 2080 Super for Ethereum mining, and there's a couple others over there I'm not going to deal with. Usually the Jetsons, this has a really janky jumper wire on it right now. But they're basically like, this is the compute unit and the rest is just a shell. You can like make your own if you know how to design PCBs. And it's basically just a GPU on a little board specifically for machine learning applications. And like different OpenCV or PyTorch. I don't know, maybe not PyTorch. I do OpenCV. But on that little screen, which is all gross.
Yeah. All right. So Philip, are you how you doing?
Is Philip back?
I suppose since neither of us are on, neither of you are on screen, we could switch to Discord.
Yeah, if you wanted. I'd have to install it, but I don't think it takes that long.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, because we've got a couple questions or super chats specifically for Philip.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, I guess Discord's... Oh, he sent a message. Have you got Discord? We can Zoom or debate.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you want, I don't mind.
I'll
fine.
send you a server invite.
Is that going to split up the stream now, or
no?
Okay.
No. All right. I will send it to you. And you can. For some reason, Philip would not email with me. I didn't understand that. He only emailed with Dell, but it worked out. But all right. So there is that. And there is a, let's see, where is it? There is a debate VC channel. So I will get in there.
Oh yeah, that's channel.
Yeah, on my server.
Yeah. All right, let's get that installed, and then I'll hang up the call or something.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you. Oh, did it work? Do we not need Discord? Oh yeah, you sound fine.
No, if it disconnects again, then we're gonna have to continue this on Discord. But it should be fine now.
Open still, or like close anything else that's using any bandwidth?
Yeah.
Are you downloading any torrents? Anything that's not quite, you know?
No, I'm in Australia. That's just how it is.
No pirating. I mean, Nathan Thompson's Wi-Fi is better than this most of the time. And he's in like a van.
Yeah, but McDonald's is pretty good, I
guess, yeah. I was going to say Burger King, but yeah. I don't know.
Oh, Mandevil says she wore a Raspberry Pi, the kind you find in a secondhand store. Oh, a Prince reference. All right. So can you hear me, Philip?
Yes.
Okay. Let me do a couple of these here while we're at it. PhD Tony, who's also in Australia, says, Space and time aren't independent. There exists no point in time at which there is no universe. That doesn't require time is unbounded.
Is that for me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the space, that's just a game of semantics, what he said there. The space is just a label for
Space meaning the
tangible
universe, I think is what he's saying.
Well, he's
Like
saying
outer space.
Space and time. So it's not space and time. It's space-time, a four-dimensional
Yes, them together.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the space is
Because like technically it's infinite in itself because it can't be outside of it. Like there's like before the universe existed, there was no time for it to not exist. You know, like if that, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, the time is just an abstract thought on how we measure the movement of tangible energy. And
Seconds are intangible concepts, but actual time is a thing. You know, like I can count time, I can wait and manipulate time by like sitting here, and then I can get up and be like, I've moved time. You know, like I could change it and manipulate it. So it is a thing.
Yeah, time, if you're
itself.
referencing the herb time, that is a thing.
No.
But in context to space
That was pretty
time,
good, Phillip. I'll give you that one. That was quite funny.
I think that's just semantics.
But yes, that is definitely semantics. But that was pretty quick. I didn't expect you to say that.
but what from when I disconnected, you were, from what I remember, you were showing me a toy robot, and then I must have disconnected when I was interjecting with.
Well, why don't you say what you were saying when you were off, and then I'll start from there. If that, you know, like you repeat what you said, and then I'll go from that.
Well, from what I remember, you were playing with a toy robot, and you're asking, how do you identify if something has life or not? And my response to that is the robot is finite in size, contingent on an outside force. So if you
is it contingent on an outside? What do you mean by contingent on an outside force? Contingent on outside force. In like just explain that part. Like, what do you mean by that?
Meaning that it is contingent on, well, for the sake of this debate, the robot is contingent on an intelligent mind for it to function.
In what way?
We are on the, for it to move.
But it doesn't need an intelligent mind to move.
Okay, if it doesn't need an intelligent mind, that would mean that's
that's the whole point, though. It can move around, it can get around, it can grab things, manipulate things, it can walk around, it can ambulate. I know you love that word. It can ambulate, but it's not alive, as in humans are alive. That was kind of what I was trying to go over. Like, that was the point of showing that, is like, this is doing things, it is ambulated. It is, in the correct sense, ambulated, but it is not sentient. Or at least I wouldn't class it as a sentient life form.
There are only two options. It's either contingent or it's not contingent. So
Contingent
if you walk
on
just a second particular, it doesn't matter what,
but like what
second particular is.
That's kind of like, what is it contingent on? As in, like, it can't exist without a thing, or it could, or like, what do you?
It can't move.
Elaborate.
It can't move without a second particular.
What would that second, just for like this, we're staying on the robot as the model. What's the second particular for that? For now, now's the robot. If I say now, I'm saying the robot. What is the second particular for now?
Well, the intelligent agency behind the movement. So that would be you.
But the movement is controlled by the robot itself. It's making its own decisions. Like, if I set it to walk around, or it gets up after charging, or whatever else, It can stand up from charging, walk around, grab a ball, throw it wherever, do whatever, and then go back to charge on its own. It doesn't need interference from a person.
But the first movement, the first movement requires a second particular.
Define first movement. First movement from if it's charging dead and then it gets up, like, is that the first movement?
The first movement of any, you go down to Planck length, but if you're staying on this robot's analogy, the robot was contingent on a second particular. So extrapolate that back to the origin of the universe. No, to move.
In what way, though? That's the question. In what way is it contingent to move? Just explain that more.
Just to move in a straight line.
Right.
Yes. So
no, but like, how is that contingent to move? Is he still there? Hello?
Yeah. Hey, what we?
So.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are. You're good.
Yeah, if I'm disconnecting, just let me know.
You just cut off a little bit at the end. I didn't know. You're good.
But if you extrapolate that analogy back to the origin of the universe, you need a second particular for there to be movement that you call the Big Bang. So the Big Bang is just the expansion of the tangible energy and matter from a singularity point.
Right. Well, I mean, the sort of off-topic question could be that all our experiences is only movement. There's never been something that is never moved, because that would be, I guess technically, that would be, if you get into absolute, like complete zero, it would be stationary. But like from everything we see, like even stuff on the table, it's moving in space. It's still going. So like if you were like that, I would say there has to be a prime stopper, because all we know is movement from the time that.
Okay, well then I have to ask you a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Well, I think I remember what you said last time.
Well, you
so you don't take the position that energy is eternal, that it had a beginning?
I don't take the position that energy is eternal.
Okay,
so I'm saying no. I'm going to clarify. So your question was, do I think that energy is not eternal?
Yeah, that energy had a beginning.
I think
that's the position you take.
Because again, if you want to say eternal as in all of time, then like technically it's only existed in time. But if you want to talk about before, if there was a before, then it's not like that's kind of a semantic thing, I guess. If you wanted to say, because there's no before the Big Bang. So if you're talking about has existed for all time, it has existed for all time that has existed.
Okay, we're kind of in a loop here. So let's take a break from that and go back to these some questions from the audience here.
Yeah, you can get some super chats or something.
Yes, we've got from Asylum says, "Good job, Dell. Weird name to praise. Trying to make sense of the salad. Even God himself couldn't comprehend Philip's drivel salad."
Drivel salad.
So there you go.
Assertion.
We've got the Sun Express says the Sky Daddy. Oh, it says my Sky Daddy, the gods of horsepower, says everything Philip rambles on about is pure lies. You don't have a fan there in the Sun Express, or
that's another assertion. I don't lie. I'm not reading off the script.
Yeah.
I do have one when we're done, McToon. I have one thing. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, okay.
Just keep going.
I've got two new members. Both FTFE is a member in Einstein level, and Dr. Z Smith. Very, very good. Thank you very much. Now, FTFE is here in the chat. He says,
"Oh, good.
God or not, Earth isn't flat. A God that can only make a tiny little flat Earth. Pathetic. That's a God with a small g at best."
Yeah, that's what I was going to get onto, actually. But
yeah,
keep reading.
Yeah, I got a couple more. Cretan Bull says, "I'm not totally against this new two stoned frat guys talking about the universe, man. Format. So he's I
can see that.
There's three of us here. I don't know which two are stoned. We'll leave that undefined, maybe. PhD Tony again comes back with there is simply no such time as before the universe. It makes zero sense to discuss such a topic. It is a logical impossibility. Yeah, I think he's taking umbrage with your I think infiniteness questions that there isn't anything before. So so Del, you said correct, so I take you are in agreement with him.
It's existed infinitely, if you want to say infinite as in all time that has existed. It hasn't, if that,
or time didn't exist before, whatever before is. Yeah. Asylum says Godbot has judged you unworthy. All hail Godbot. I think and people were quite
a Futurama reference.
I haven't watched enough Futurama. I apologize. Oh, Angel Gamer, do you want Daleks? This is how we get Daleks. Yeah, we need to be careful. We don't want the bottom end.
Those aren't robots, though, are they? I thought they had little aliens in them.
It's aliens inside.
Yeah. So it's not technically AI.
Yeah. And neither is it Cybermen. Cybermen also has material biology inside, so I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
FTFE's wondering why do for £2 says why do flat earthers get their Wi-Fi from McDonald's?
They could try Taco Bell next time. That might work out, but I don't know. They're more high class.
In Minneapolis, I would go for Caribou Coffee. So,
ooh.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Rob Montgomery says, just because you kicked me out of the house doesn't mean I'm going to stop pooping in your dryer.
What?
That's where it came from. I'm going to change the locks, Rob. I don't know what he's talking about. Really, I don't.
I no idea.
All right. Oh, FTFE message from Sandra in HR. NDT failed the blood test and has been disqualified from the secret NASA moon base breakdancing tournament. Top secret. Never mind. I'll have to.
Saying too much, McFinn.
Let me get this. Look right in here. All right. These are not the droids you're looking for. AJ Hybe says, ask Phil if his God is unchanging, then have him reconcile his answer with everything else he's said. He can't. So, Phil, is God unchanging? And does that jive with the rest of what you've said?
Yeah, it does say that in the Bible, that God is unchanging because he is infinite in size. Therefore, that secures his aseity.
Where does it say he's infinite in size?
No, he said, it says in Kings that not even the highest heavens can contain him. And then, so that puts, it doesn't say infinite, but you can.
But why would infinite mean unchanging? Because if I have a box that's getting bigger and bigger, and that box is the entire universe, and God takes up that entire box that's growing, he's infinite in the sense of he takes up the entire universe, but the box is growing, so he's changing.
No, but he has because he is infinite in size, he has everything from the start. So he didn't evolve. He's not contingent on a second particular.
I don't think anyone has ever said that God evolved, so you're safe on that one.
That's just a brute fact. Look,
no, I said I don't think anyone has ever said that. He has not evolved. I agree with you. He has not evolved, is what I'm saying. All right. Nick, the super chat's done. I
got one more from Magellan in 5 Singaporean dollars. Says, hello from Singapore. Discussing these matters from a temporal perspective is just to anthropomorphize the topic. Before and after are just human ideas. And then I have one final one from Hugh Jars. Are you familiar with Hugh Jars? He says,
a little bit.
God is infinite in size, ? Still smaller than me. being he is Hugh. Jars. So, all right. That's it for now. Let's try to maybe shift to something a little different, because that topic has kind of been expired.
So I have a question. You are a flat earther, correct? Not you, McDavid.
No, I'm not.
Okay, just making sure. Phil, you are. I just want to like a clarifying question. I'm not like trying to lead you into a trap.
Yes.
Okay, you are a flat earther.
Yes,
right,
but
go on
you're
what you were
still
gonna say.
stuck on this premise. Because you said earlier that energy came into existence, and you were alluding to that it's always moving. So,
right.
So that you have violated the first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion is that if something is always moving, then it requires a second particular for it to change form. So energy converts into matter. I don't know if
that's his first law of motion. You may be paraphrasing a bit. I'm not too sure. I don't think that was.
I'm just phrasing it. That's the tautology.
Okay, paraphrasing. That's okay. Go on.
So when light came into existence, you said that it was always moving. Therefore, it requires a second particular for it to change form. So, in order to get the three-dimensional,
saying is God is the second one. Is the second God? Is
that's the only. That's the only.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying that gravity is God in a sense.
But the gravity. The two fallacies here with your assertion of gravity is that it's either material or immaterial, and it's either the mechanism is either internally or externally. So if you...
But you are saying that gravity exists. You're not saying that it's fake or made up or whatever.
The intangible exists.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure you're not like Nathan who says gravity isn't real. You think that gravity is a thing, correct?
No, gravity doesn't exist. The Earth is flat, but that's not the topic of this debate.
Wait, hold on. You just went really? You just jumped a lot of sharks there. Wait, what?
Hang on, you're trying to switch the topic.
Just continue. No, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to think things.
So in order for it to change, so the outside force, the second particular in this scenario, is immaterial with the ability to interact with the material. Therefore, that immaterial particular requires an omnipotence. If you reject that, you are going against.
But I'm trying to clarify what logic is that. How do we know? So, are you saying that gravity is that? Or are you saying that like magnetism is that? Like what? How is it expressing itself in the physical, tangible world?
Okay, so we'll have to ask you clarifying questions.
Okay, that's fine.
There's too many assertions here. So
I do make a lot of assertions. Correct.
Your assertion of gravity, is it immaterial or is it material?
Material as in I can grab it and touch it?
Yeah, the material meaning that it's,
well, it's not material as in that. It is untangible as in I can't grab it, but I can see the effects of it. Okay, so whatever you would class that as for this discussion, if you want to go to your next question, like your next clarifying question.
Yeah, so it's immaterial. So then my next question, the mechanism for the movement of tangible matter, was it
right?
What was the cause? Did it happen internally or externally?
The movement for exterior. What did you say?
The movement.
Just say that again. I don't.
For you to get the protostar, three-dimensional structure of hydrogen. So, in order for that to take place, the formation of a protostar, Did it happen? Was the mechanism contingent or was it not contingent? So to elaborate on that, did it happen internally or externally, your assertion of gravity?
Did my assertion of gravity happen internally or externally? To the universe, you mean? Or to
Yeah, is the
creation,
I'll break this down again. The gravity that you asserted, is that particular external to the tangible material or is it internal to the tangible material?
So is it inside of things and then it makes them move?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying, is gravity inside of objects making them move? Or is it a thing outside of the objects making them move? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, in this, not in the here and now. I'm talking
in general, in this example, that's what you're saying.
This, yes.
Okay. It's not the beginning. I don't know. I mean, you can't really say anything at the exact beginning. You can only go back a certain amount of time. I don't know. I already forgot. I don't know how to I don't really get your premise, if that makes sense. I don't know. You're saying, is gravity inside of all things, or is it like an outside thing grabbing it?
Well, we have established that the gravity is immaterial. So is the immaterial in this scenario outside of the material, or is it a part of the material?
It's part of
There's no third option.
I mean, material, like my desk, is made out of tiny little things, and those things have gravity around. I don't know how to explain that in a way that isn't terribly obnoxious. I guess you could say it's in things, as in if you break things down to the smallest parts and then put them together, it would have gravity in it. But no, it's external of objects for the sake of this, for not being annoyingly complex. It is outside of things.
Yeah, so
gravity is not inside of my desk right now for the sake of this discussion.
So that puts the immaterial to be outside the universe with an omnipotence to stretch out the heavens. And this comports with the Bible.
I'm sorry, McTude, I don't mean to loop this around in circles. I don't know how you're getting from that. That's why I wanted to move on to a different topic, just so we can clarify other points. Because I'm just going to say again, how do you know it's sentient? And we go back to the robot thing. That's where this would end. I can tell you where it's go back to.
It's moving, not contingent.
That was the whole point of what we just talked about for a half hour, the robot thing. I don't know how you're getting from moving to sentience moving a thing. Why does the first movement need to be a conscious entity? Why can't it just be I don't know, even in an alternate universe, a dog kicking a ball and then it travels in the world, anything else besides a sentient being saying, I'm going to make things, and then it makes things.
You need an unmoved mover who is infinite in size. If you reject that, your only alternative is a finite in size particular. However, that is a fallacy.
How is that dichotomy possible?
But I don't know where you're getting that from. Is it a true dichotomy or is it a false dichotomy?
This is a true dichotomy because it comports with the law of excluded middle, that it's either finite in size or it's not finite in size.
What the law of excluded middles is, just break it down using letters. What is? I just want to make sure you're clear.
Yeah, it's either A or not A.
Right.
So the not A.
What I don't get is it's not A and not A, so it must be B. It's A or not A. It doesn't say anything about the second or third or fourth or millionth option. I don't know if that, how are you ruling out other things? You can say it's not A or A, but just because we say it's not A doesn't mean it has to be B.
It is either finite in size or it's not finite in size. If it's not finite in size, then it is infinite in size. There's no third option.
Yeah,
Well, for the sake of the
That's just
viewers
a
for a
brute
minute,
fact.
yeah, I
I'm
think
trying to move this forward. So if I agree to things, I'm just moving it forward. Because I don't know if you can get that treated. I'm just trying to move this. Okay. So for the sake of this, what is your point? Just tell me it's finite in size or infinite in size.
So you
Which one is
need
it? To you.
So your analogies of toys and like robots or whatever, they are all finite in size, contingent on a second particular.
Okay.
So if you extrapolate that knowledge back to the very first movement for tangible energy and matter, it's necessary that an infinite in size primary mover is the cause for the existence of the universe. So
you're saying
if you
that
reject that,
just sum up your point in like a few words. Just tell me what you think it is. I'm not saying give me the dichotomy. Just in your own words, tell me what you think it is. You know, like.
what's your question?
So like, just tell me what you think it is. Don't say like the different particulars. Just like, kind of just explain it out, like in one quick sentence. Like,
are you asking me to
the
define
universe exists and it is made by an infinite whatever? Like, just say it in like plain
like
text.
a quick syllogism.
No formatting. Just go. Yeah, quick syllogism works.
The first law of motion proves God because tangible energy and matter doesn't consist of life for it to move on its own, unless you allude to pantheism. Therefore, your only alternative is an immaterial cause.
Wait. Tangible matter does include life because I am made of tangible matter, and as far as I know, I am alive.
Yeah, but you're not eternal. So if you go back you're finite in size. You can't be eternal. You need an infinite in size.
You've asserted that. I don't think you've established that.
If you want to get really stonerish, I could say that to me, I am eternal. I am all that I know and will ever know. So time to me is completely...
Well, no, that is a contradiction because by using the law of non-contradiction, because you are finite in size, therefore that puts the universe to also be finite in size. So you're saying that A is B at the same time A is in B. So then that puts you, so you're alluding, if you make that assertion that you're eternal, you're alluding to an eternal cosmos. That all that there is the tangible. So you have omnipresent tangible energy,
right?
But because you are finite in size, that would put tangible energy and matter to also be finite in size. So you have a second particular. Okay. You have a second particular now.
Particular as in thing that exists, entity, whatever you want to call it.
You have an immaterial particular now.
All right. Hold on. McToon, do you want to, like, I don't know, do you have anything to say on this?
Hang on. This is a debate between you.
I know. I just want to get, like,
I'm just saying that this is in a loop and it's getting a little dull.
That's what I mean. That's why I want to move on to my second point, which was you think that God is gravity, because I've heard you say that before. But if you think it's a flat Earth, how does any of this work? Because then the forces wouldn't be what they are.
We are not talking about the here and now. We are talking about the origin.
Right, but did it start as a ball Cosmogony, and then it like flattened out like a pizza? Like did God kind of make a globe pizza or a cookie or something?
Look, that's not
like if we're talking about back then or now.
Title.
It doesn't matter what time. It would always be flat, right? Like it doesn't matter when. It's always going to be a flat.
No, that's not the topic of this debate.
Well, it's like fundamental to what you're saying because you're telling me about the forces and how things work and how it's like not. But if it's a flat Earth, that can't like mesh. So I'm wondering, like, if in your world, wouldn't all the forces be fundamentally different anyway?
No, because those forces, they all share the same attributes. The first property, that they are immaterial.
What forces? Hold on. What forces? All the
You're
forces
talking about the
like
four
gravity,
fundamental...
magnetism. You mean those kind of forces?
Yeah, look, we are not on the top. We are on the topic of cosmogony, meaning the origin of any tangible system.
But your whole argument is that God is some kind of thing that's non-tangible, and that gravity and other forces prove that God is there. But if you aren't on that subject, like if it's flat Earth, you can't have those to begin with. You get what, like, the whole argument is a non-starter if you think that it's flat.
No, but the gravity is just a label. The gravity. If you go back to a Big Bang,
right?
That the gravity is the primary mover, and that's a false theory. So that you just replace gravity with God.
But there we go. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay. So replace gravity with God. Are you saying that God is gravity, or that what we consider gravity is actually God doing?
The gravity is just a label for immaterial.
Is God? Is what you're saying?
Just look. You have.
Is that like? Are you saying that the thing that we label gravity is actually God doing things?
In this scenario, the Big Bang scenario, you have a finite in size singularity, and outside the curvature is an infinite in size and immaterial property. So that immaterial property was antecedent before the movement of tangible energy matter that you call the Big Bang. So the gravity is just a label for an omnipresent and immaterial particular. So you have, I'm going to use a reductio ad absurdum method to point out the fallacy in your assertion of gravity. So you have two particulars. Particular A is the material / tangible energy matter, and particular B is the immaterial / gravity. Those two particulars are conjoined to each other with no gaps in between. Therefore, there isn't a third particular in the scenario for the for particular A / material to choose to interact with the material particular to get the expansion requires a conscious choice, because the choice happened internally.
Why does it require a conscious choice?
Because there was a time of no movement.
How do you know that? That's the whole point. Why couldn't the universe have started moving? Like, why?
Okay, that's if it's always
while moving.
If it's all okay, well then, do you? I have to ask you another clarifying question.
Go for it. Questions.
In your false worldview, are tangible stars eternal?
Are tangible stars eternal?
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, we know they're not, because they die. Like, we know that they die.
They form and they
have a very finite lifespan. Like
so you have so you have.
I don't know why that helps the point. Am I hearing? Like, I don't want to say like, oh, I'm hearing it wrong. But like, am I not getting what you're saying? Are you saying that our finite star? What? Our stars finite? Yes, because we've seen them die. Well, not seen them, but we've seen the result of that. Yes. They have a time that they exist.
A time in history that the formation of stars had a beginning. So
yes, but you know that the stars that are around now aren't the same as when the universe began.
Look, you have just say you have just to break this down, you have one particular of tangible energy / matter.
Okay.
And you said that it's always moving. Well, then my next clarifying question was all the material, is the material in your worldview omnipresent, or is it not omnipresent?
Is the material in my material as in what makes up physical things?
Yes.
Okay. Is that omnipresent? I don't know what that would entail. Is it omnipresent as in it has always existed? Because omnipresent, wouldn't that be it's everywhere and for all time ever?
Yeah, I'll rephrase the question.
Okay, yes.
So when the material popped into existence, was it everywhere or was it not everywhere?
Everywhere as in it's spread out to where it is now? Or everywhere as in all... When it popped into existence, is it everywhere? Are you saying that once it got created, is it in the places that we have it now, like generally? Like the sun was here and the earth was here and everything?
When it popped into existence, was it the only thing
the Big Bang
that existed?
Okay, the Big Bang happens. Are you saying that when that happens, everything that is existing right now, matter-wise, existed at that point?
No, hang on. You're circumventing the question. When light came
I was asking
existence,
a question. I was asking a clarifying question. I want to know if that's what you meant.
What I mean by everywhere is that it is one particular. So therefore, there isn't, in this scenario, there isn't a second particular. So, so just to reiterate what I was saying, my question, when light came into existence, was it everywhere or was it not everywhere?
When light came into existence, was it everywhere or not everywhere?
Yeah.
Is that okay? I don't know if you cut off. Everywhere as in it's filled all available space, or everywhere as in it's just generally everywhere it needs to be at whatever time?
Yeah, everywhere.
You're not saying is the universe filled with only light? That's not what you're saying, correct?
Yeah, everywhere meaning there is no curvature to it. And
I've never heard that being used as meaning not everywhere.
Meaning that there's no apex, meaning there's no highest point. It's just everywhere.
Sure.
There's no way to measure the apex of an omnipresent particular.
For this, yes, go ahead.
So my question still stands.
Okay, ask it again.
When light came into existence, was it everywhere or was it not everywhere?
It was not everywhere. Light? Are you using light as energy or light as light as light?
Light, tangible energy / light.
I wouldn't call light tangible, but yes. The thing that we can see that comes from the sun.
So so then you have, so when this scenario of yours, so light came into existence in a finite and size form, and it is always moving. Therefore, for that particular to change shape in order to get a tangible star requires an outside force.
Wait. Stars are not made of light.
No, you got to change form, to change shape, meaning that it's
change into stars?
You have energy converting into matter.
What?
And you have...
Maybe next time I should come like really stoned, because I don't know what you're talking about.
You're just interrupting.
The stars are literally made of light? Because we know they're not. Like we could...
I didn't say that. I said in order for it to change shape, for the energy to convert into matter...
Okay.
And in order for it to change, in order to get a protostar, a three-dimensional structure requires an outside force. So just to break this down.
I don't know what you mean by are you saying protostar is in the first star to exist?
The beginnings of a star?
The earliest star.
The first baby star. Yes. Okay. That's what you mean by protostar.
So I'll break this down. Okay. So Newton's first law of motion states that if a particular is in a state of movement, in order for it to change its trajectory or for it to stop requires an outside force. And contrary to that, if a particular is at rest, if a particular is at rest, it will remain at rest unless acted upon by a second particular. So what you said earlier is that...
my question, I guess, would be for this is like, so energy, as far as we know, cannot be destroyed, just for the sake of this. Cannot be destroyed in any way meaningful to this conversation. And it's always changing its form, but we never see it blowing up or fizzing out or whatever else. So how do you know that it had a starting point? Why couldn't energy, just as a thing, just have always existed?
You have, because of universal consistency, and this comports with the Bible that God created the stars. So in this scenario of yours, you have finite in size, the tangible energy and matter.
Okay.
So just for you to visualize it, you have a three-dimensional structure. And inside of that three-dimensional structure are more three-dimensional structures. So in order for that to take place, to get you multiple three-dimensional structures of the same material, that being hydrogen and helium, requires a fine-tuner outside the universe.
Why would it need a fine-tuner that's conscious? Why couldn't it just break down itself until it gets to a certain point? Like if a rock rolls down a hill and it just happens to become circular, then why that doesn't need a fine-tuner as in tuner? It's just it rolled down the hill for that amount of time.
But the rock rolling down the hill,
that's about an
getting that the apex of the mountain, the highest point of the mountain. Right. So either that rock was sitting on the apex, and then something outside of it pushed it over.
Okay. So did you ever see the Scooby-Doo movie with the big electric guy? Is that what you're saying God is?
The what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just remember this. It sounds exactly like what he's talking about. It was like years and years ago. There's a Scooby-Doo movie where there's a villain and he is pure energy and he's doing all this stuff. And I like just literally now, it sounds like that you're citing the script from that. Like, is that what you're saying? I'm not saying you're talking about Scooby-Doo. I'm talking about, is that the kind of thing you mean? Like an energy being thing?
Yeah, a moving thing. An unmoved mover.
Okay. All right. So let's just say we established that. How do you go? Oh my God, I don't know.
You need to be asking me which God it is. That's your only next question.
Okay, well, what God is it?
The God of the Bible, because there are two reasons.
Okay, now we have a new topic. Okay, so how do you know this is the God of the Bible? Nicktoon, are you religious first off? Like, are you Christian?
I am,
the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not directing this to you if I say anything about, okay, just so you know. I don't want to, I'm sure you two don't believe in the same concept. Okay, go ahead with Philip, go. How do you know it's the God of the Bible?
Okay, two main reasons for me is that the universe had a beginning, and this comports with Genesis 1:1. Okay. And because God is infinite in size, that secures his aseity, making him independent from the start. Because God is independent from the start, what logically entails is that he is good. Hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
So because God is independent from the start, that would make him good by default. Because he has no one to be evil towards. So because God is good by default,
that's a really big
good for God.
Continue.
Hang on.
Go.
Destroying your. Hang on.
I'm falling apart. Just keep talking.
Because God is good by default, it would be good for him to send down the best evidence, that being Lord Jesus. And that comports with John 3:16. If you reject that, your only alternative is a deistic God. However, that is a contradiction because a deistic God implies an evil God. But we don't experience evil at the level of a God.
If I have, as example, the Omnissiah is all loving, and he speaks through the machine spirit. Right. His language is through math. And unlike every other God that's ever existed, math tells us the truth. It guides us to the right answer. The Omnissiah guides us to the right answer through his will.
Hang on, can you say that again?
The Omnissiah uses math to guide us through like concepts. And since math can tell us new information and cannot lie, it is the only language and the only God that can guide us to real truth, that can let us gain new information.
The God of the Bible meets the prerequisites to be omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent because he is infinite in size. So that because he is infinite in size, that puts him to being good by default. And I've already addressed this. And to take this even further,
on one of my machines and it starts to work better, isn't that proof for the Omnissiah?
But you can't dismiss the God's aseity, making him good by default. So does your false God? Your false God is not antecedent before the special and general revelation that he sent down for us.
Debatable. Because he does create new information through math. Right. And if I put a purity seal on one of my machines and I say the prayer, it works better. I say, give this machine life with your essence, and may this humble machine live long in your service.
The law or polarity states that everything has an opposite. So therefore, the opposite to good, the opposite to good is evil. If your false God meets the prerequisites to be evil because he hasn't sent down any
because he hasn't. What do you mean? Continue with that. Because he hasn't what? You kind of cut off.
He hasn't sent down evidence. Only the God of the Bible. Look, you can make that assertion, but without any.
Well, does math give us new discoveries, or are you one of the people that doesn't like math?
No, I could use Romans 1 verse 20, that God has made his invisible attributes known to everybody, so those are without excuse. So his invisible attributes would comport with mathematics. So he can't.
But he's guided through math. Machines use math, and that's how he's guided. Right. The code that flows through machines to give them life is math that is given by the Omnissiah.
No, the machine is just a label for a finite and size particular. But your false God doesn't, hang on, your false God also doesn't meet the prerequisites to be ad infinitum because you have no evidence on the creation points for the universe. So I'm referencing.
No, it doesn't go into that.
You have
right. We have through him. We have no information of the beginning of the first universe, as in, like we don't know how that started through that. If that makes sense. So the Bible does have that on him.
Your false God. You're invoking a deistic God. However, that is a contradiction because a deistic God implies an evil God that
I don't know
we don't experience.
I don't know where that comes from.
How would it imply an evil God, though?
Because a good God would send evidence down, that being Lord Jesus. An evil God, there wouldn't be harmony today if there was an evil God.
And the kids in Africa would disagree about harmony, but I'm not going to get into that.
We're talking about torment on a large scale.
That applies to them. Sorry. Okay, keep going.
The torment is in reference to the lake of fire. We are not drowning and burning sulfur from the
I can agree with you on that. We're not doing that.
So that would be an evil God. If we were in drowning and burning sulfur, that would be an evil God. We don't experience that. So you have.
So if we were drowning in like, or just in general, like not specifically the sulfur, but anything like that, that would be an evil god, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because you have a good God. Just hypothetically, if God was evil, then he would choose to be evil. But
right.
but that violates his divine nature, because an evil God, again, implies torment. So this puts you back to a good God by default, and remaining good. Yeah, so this comports with John 3:16, that God so loved the world that he sent his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall have eternal life.
Do you have that memorized, or are you reading off a thing?
I'm not.
This isn't related.
Anything.
I'm just wondering. No. I didn't say you are. I'm just wondering if you have that memorized. I was just wondering. I'm not.
Yes, I have that memorized.
Not a point. I'm just asking. Okay. I wasn't trying to make it. That wasn't a point. I'm just wondering. All right. So, but the whole point is yes.
All right. So
that McToon?
We've been going for an hour and a half on this.
Yes.
We've got some questions. I've got a few of them written down. If you don't mind switching to that.
The Q&A,
okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Moderator. Let's go to Q&A.
Are you good with that, Philip?
Yes.
All right. So the Logical Hillbilly says Philip says his God is unchanging, but at the very least he went to anger management somewhere between the Old and New Testament.
That's true.
That's a point.
Well, he has to define unchanging. Like,
unchanging.
God has everything.
Change? Like he doesn't.
But if he has all the emotions from the start, well, that doesn't mean he's changing.
If he has the what?
If he has the knowledge of good and evil and all the emotions from the start,
right?
Well, then that wouldn't mean that he's changing. He just expresses different emotions. That's all that means.
Okay. I don't know how to reply to that.
I guess for some definition of unchanging, I guess is important part of that. Man Devil says, can you ask Philip why he isn't saying ambulating anymore? Is he admitting that FTFE was correct without saying so in so many words?
Ambulation is just internally. I don't know. If I don't say word, what does that?
Hold on. Define ambulation or ambulate. Just like not definition. Just in your own words. Tell me what it means.
The ability to move out and outside without.
It's definitely not that
particular.
One. That second part is definitely not part. You know what I do? Like literally bipedal. Like
people want to see a robot
okay,
again.
just keep going.
Del, people want to see a robot again. Let's see a robot ambulate. Can you do that? People like that.
Yeah,
that
we'll
was,
see how
that was the best part they're saying.
I don't know how charged she is because I didn't plan on like a definition. I have an IBO if you want to see an IBO go around.
Turn on your camera.
All right, let's see if this works. Oh Lord! All right, well I guess you can read super chats. Well, it takes a minute. It's like a full like Linux computer.
Oh, it's got to reboot. Okay. AJ Hyde says if Philip doesn't believe in gravity, but he's arguing that in Dell's worldview, gravity is God, that makes God contingent on Dell's worldview. Lame God.
Correct. That was kind of my point.
It's a little bit of a fallacy of stolen concept, isn't it?
Well, even if I grant you gravity, that still doesn't get you out of the immaterial being the primary mover, the antecedent cause for the universe. But that's not the topic of this debate.
But then it wouldn't
grant you a sphere.
You can grant me a sphere, so the Earth is not flat.
I'll grant you a sphere Earth, but that's a different. But Yeah, the gravity is just a label.
So why are you even a flat
material
earther, then?
force?
Like, why are you a
The
flat earther?
Bible-
I don't get.
Because the Bible speaks of a flat Earth.
Okay.
No verse says
Isaiah.
that. But, yeah.
I think McToon's also religious, and I don't think he thinks the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know Kent Ham and the other crazy people that are super into that, they don't think that either. They've used not so choice words on flat earthers before, so
Yeah.
they don't agree with you on that.
Ken Ham, Kent Hovind, Danny Faulkner, all guys that are associated with Answers in Genesis, that are young Earth creationists. They laugh at the flat earthers.
Me too, yeah.
Clive Wells says the universe runs on Debian. Oh, it's Ubuntu.
No,
Please,
Arch.
Ubuntu.
It's not Ubuntu.
Arch. All right, we can't get too geeky on that. All right. Is that still booting? Man, you got it. What kind of chip you got in there? A Dorito?
No.
You using a 486?
Oh,
Don't make me laugh. Your Windows boots up in what, a day and a half? All right.
This is Linux.
The Sun Express says, I was quoting Weird Al. The Sun Express says, my Bible, his Bible is the technical reference manual, provides all the torque figures for the nuts and bolts of my engines. Philip's Bible provides no such figures. Therefore, it cannot be the word of God ever.
Yes, that's true.
So has been asserted.
My audio disconnected. That's what I just got a message from Philip. Is that you, McToon, or is he bouncing around?
It's not me.
Okay, I heard like shuffling.
I see you've got Isaac Asimov there, his book Robot Visions.
Oh,
yeah.
I cleaned up my desk a bit because it's terribly messy.
Yep. Oh,
we got the little GLaDOS potato.
All right, I see he's standing now. He's standing.
Oh, well, I have the camera on. See, I put a purity scroll on this printer, and it works way better.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I know it's blue. It's supposed to be red, but it works. That's proof for the Omnisci right there.
I'm not familiar with that as much as I am the spaghetti monster.
It's similar.
I see you have a part from a Will Smith movie there.
This?
Yeah.
It is very similar. It's an unmoved. It's like an open source robotics project. I've just had done.
Wow.
It does look like Sunny though. I actually just watched that movie like a couple days ago. But yeah, these all like spin, and it's gonna have a body with the servos that can move the neck. It's all ball jointed, and
nice.
You got the jaw movement, and then the head can rotate. All kinds of fun stuff.
That's cool. All right, Philip, are you back?
Yes.
All right. Did you hear about the Sun Express's technical reference manual?
No. Was there a question for me?
Well, no, it's just a statement. I think he says he or she says my Bible, which is the technical reference manual, provides all the torque figures for the nuts and bolts of my engines. Philip's Bible provides no such figures. Therefore, it cannot be the word of God ever.
We've got some holy diagrams. They tell us the words and chants to kind of give life to these machines. There's some holy scripture. There's some sacred patterns. We got numerology, and
Oh, was it originally written in a different language? That helps. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one, Philip. AJ Hybe says, if all the fundamental forces share properties and gravity is God, then Philip is a pantheist because the electromagnetism must also be a god. So is electromagnetism also all the things you're asserting that gravity is, Philip?
No, but AJ is presupposing that energy is eternal in conjunction with immaterial also being eternal.
How does that have anything to do with...
Wasn't that your God debate to begin with, though? Didn't you say God is the energy that moves?
Yeah, you have the force of electromagnetism and the force of gravity. How are you drawing a distinction between them?
No, but pantheists believe that the universe, that being tangible energy and matter, is the God. But that's presupposing that tangible energy is eternal, which is debunked with... I need some time with this. So the second law of thermodynamics / entropy debunks eternal tangible energy matter in an open system. This puts you to the third law of thermodynamics, is that once a system reaches zero entropy, then it will remain at zero entropy. So therefore, tangible energy and matter had a beginning because it can't move on its own. If you assert pantheism, well then using the law of non-contradiction, that puts the material to be the immaterial at the same time, the material not to being the immaterial. So you have A is B at the same time A isn't B.
But why are you drawing a distinction between gravity and electromagnetism?
They're all forces, and they can pull. Like they both can pull things. You know, they're both invisible.
Yeah, but he's doing pantheism, so that's. But I have to take a different approach.
But it's saying that because you're asserting that gravity is God somehow, then also isn't electromagnetism God? So there's two of them, and there's two other forces we could throw in the mix, and there's four then.
The gravity is just a for an immaterial force. But
it's empirically immeasurable.
Well,
then that puts you to pantheism.
No, it puts you to pantheism because I don't think gravity is God.
No, but the tangible energy and matter.
You think that, not me.
But if you reject that it's immaterial, your only alternative is that it's material. So that puts you to pantheism.
Wait. Just because it's
that was a question. That was directed at AJ. So
okay.
What?
Well, AJ, have to move on to the next.
Oh, that was directed at AJ.
AJ responds with, "I meant to say that electromagnetism makes Philip a polytheist, not a pantheist. I think is maybe there." Though he appeals to pantheism in other parts of his argument. So there we go. He meant polytheist, not pantheist.
I already addressed this with him, is that you can't have two gods.
And electromagnetism is God, and the weak force is God, and the strong force is God. You got four.
Yeah, he's alluding to
four gods. You do.
That's
there
your assertion, not AJ's.
But there's a gap.
Yours.
There's a gap. There's a gap in between those particulars. So you need to
they're all separate gods, or they're all the same God?
Arbitrarily assigning a gap? I don't get it.
You have multiple particulars. You need an infinite in size particular.
Why?
Because a finite in size particular implies a gap.
What? Wait, what?
Only
is this some sort of spackling that we can get down at Home Depot?
Jesus Christ.
All right. I don't. All right. Let me move on here. Stringer News 1, again, playing off of your gravity is God thing, says, "For gravity so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son," spelled with a U.
Immaterial. It's just a game of semantics when they assert gravity.
But you can't prove that it's sentient. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I don't get where you're getting. I don't know how you're getting from the gap of immaterial mover, if I even grant you that, to living being that makes decisions and is omnipotent and is able to make choices. I don't understand the gap.
You go back to the origin point.
That's a gap.
That's just God is a brute fact. There's no getting around it.
It's not even related to what I said.
All right.
No. Okay, just go ahead.
Yeah. I've never seen such behavior in the war room before, saying Raptor Jesus equals dropity. Whatever that means.
Correct.
Yeah, the word rapture is not mentioned in the Bible.
No, raptor, R-A-P-T-O-R, you know.
Like the dinosaur. Do you believe in dinosaurs, Philip, or no?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay. All right. Dr. C. Smith says, "Could you ask Philip, is it mandatory to wear safety harnesses at a flat Earth at Flat Earth festivals to avoid members falling or tripping over the edges, becoming lost in space, asking for a friend.
Yeah, I missed some of that. You mentioned the Flat Earth.
Yeah, at the Flat Earth festivals, is it mandatory to wear safety harnesses so they don't fall off the edge?
Well, remember,
I haven't been to one of these festivals.
Oh, I have.
He granted us the globe.
He did. Oh,
I
excellent.
don't know if you remember that. He said, "I'll give you the sphere."
Two. All right.
Yeah.
It was
for the best flat Earth debate ever.
Yeah. Check. RT96 says, "Is this pointless or not pointless?" I believe that's to you,
Not
Phillip.
pointless.
It doesn't matter. Everyone knows that God exists. I'm just doing this for fun.
I can objectively tell you, I do not know that God exists.
You know God exists through Romans 1, verse 20.
I don't even know Romans 1. I know he doesn't. I don't think.
I think Phillip, that there are people that don't know that God exists.
Well, then they're lying.
Yeah. Romans 1:20. I'll read it here quick for people. Since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, and I think you said this earlier, Phillip, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So it's just saying that people intimately, inherently, in something word, know that God exists. Is that what you're saying there, Phillip, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it
wouldn't it be
goes,
better for if he didn't, though?
I think it a lot of the time it's used to address, what about the unreached tribe in some third world country that have never, right? That's I think kind of what it's referring to. So all right, Megan Satanis, that is, as a new member, welcome to Newton. Thank you very much, Megan. Philip, the law of polarity is not a real law. So AJ Hybe is wondering, how does Philip's God feel about him lying about the law of polarity that does not exist?
It's bearing false witness.
It does exist, and you can demonstrate this today by asking a very simple question. What is the opposite to tangible? The only
what
answer
is the opposite to my screwdriver?
But the screwdriver is tangible. The screwdriver is a label.
What's the opposite to this screwdriver? I have a bunch of them, but this isn't the opposite of this. But they're two screwdrivers. And this one has a light.
But they consist of tangible matter. So the opposite to the tangible is the intangible.
But what's the opposite of screwdriver?
Well, you could give it any name you want.
They're not opposites, though. But
the material used. The material used.
So there's an anti-aluminum that exists that wasn't machined. I don't that's the problem. Is it's there.
It's all physical material. The opposite to physical is non-physical.
Yeah, but what's the opposite of screwdriver?
Non-screwdriver.
Well, could you just give it a hammer? It doesn't matter.
That's not the opposite to a screwdriver. That would be an improved screwdriver in some cases.
That's just not screwdriver. That's not opposite screwdriver.
That's what and not a screwdriver. So anything that is not.
What's the opposite to your brain, Phillip?
The brain, it will be intangible.
No.
So the brain is physical.
Okay.
You keep it. It seems that you think that the law of polarity, as you have is only about tangible versus not tangible, and not about screwdriver versus anti-screwdriver, or something.
You're literally just saying it exists, and the opposite to exist is it doesn't exist. I don't understand.
All right. Baron Von G says you don't have to be a deist to denounce God. You can be a Slav like I am and believe in Swytowid. And I don't know if I said that right. Swytowid. There's a
Swytowid?
Grave above the S even. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. So there you go. Baron Von G is a Slav and believes in, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, SWIATOWID. There you go.
No idea.
Yeah.
Is that to me?
I think he's just making a statement there. Yeah.
Oh, can you rephrase that?
I can't rephrase it.
Rephrase it.
I didn't understand it.
Just go on to the next one.
Yeah. So sorry,
You're
Magellan.
allowed now.
Baron Von G, if you want to clarify a little bit, I'll read it out here in a bit. Magellan for 5 Singaporean dollars says, I always find it completely sickening when theists attempt to justify the atrocities of the world, or in the world. They're always no true Scotsman BS every time. So yeah, you were talking about torment, I think earlier is what he's referring to.
Well, he was saying that we know that God's good because there's no torment, but like there is torment. So
Not the torment of the level of a god.
well, I mean, to them it might as well be. Like I don't know if you can like class that as either. The only thing God could make different if it was eternal, but like, you know.
I have to reference Revelations because that's where it mentions the torments in the lake of fire. So the burning of the brimstone, those will be thrown in there, drowning in it. So that would be torment.
Okay.
There'll be no rest for the wicked.
But what about the atrocities?
That's a song quote, not in the book.
Yeah, the here and now. There is misery. It doesn't mean that God is evil. It's just a result from.
I mean, if I was all powerful
else.
and I saw somebody like suffering with worms that are eating their eyes when they're kids, like I would either stop that or I would be complicit. And since I'm all powerful, that would be, you know, like there's. I maybe see if you can address that, but I don't know how you would.
It's a good point. Because you could talk about free will, right? And it takes free will, you know, removing free will to prevent some evils, but it doesn't include removal of free will to prevent worms eating somebody in a horrible way.
Correct. Yeah.
Philip, to you, that's a good question.
Worms have free will.
You need free will. There needs to be a choice.
That just debunks your whole thing, Philip. Hold on. Worms are not sentient, but they are alive. So why can't the first mover just be like a worm?
The worm is finite in size.
No.
Yeah.
That is an example of life that is not sentient.
Yeah, but it created more things outside of itself. So
I know, but that's
teleology.
Worms create lots of poop outside of themselves. That's the whole point is that we have a physical demonstration of life that is not sentient. Unless you want to argue that worms are sentient, but I wouldn't, because they only have like, I think 750 neurons, like very small amounts. The point of where you can put them in a robot.
42 neurons. How about that?
Yeah, but you can't create.
This is a good answer.
The first law of thermodynamics. You can't create more material.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're saying that there's a first mover. Why couldn't that first mover be like a worm? I'm not saying it is a worm. I'm saying it could be like that in the sense of it is alive. It is not conscious. But it's also not a robot.
Yeah, but you don't see a worm create things and fine-tune things.
It's a mover.
Well, first off, worms do create things. They create dirt by eating like stuff. But the whole point is, it is a mover. But the whole point is that is an example of life that is life, which you say is required. So even if I grant you that life is required, right? I grant you that completely. We still have an example of life that is, to my opinion, not sentient at all. But it meets every other classification of life.
But to create means out of nothing, ex nihilo.
I created this head, but I didn't create it out of nothing. But I did create it. And by the way, on that point,
you made the
when one of my robots falls off the table, I fix it because I am the true loving God here. I don't leave them sitting suffering, just for reference, Philip.
Look,
so if you want a true loving God example, there you go.
To be fair, are they suffering?
Well, the worm one is.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Let's see. I got from Mute Donkey says to you, Phil, if someone can get rid of pain without any cost to themselves, but is not the trait of someone, is that the trait of someone good?
Yeah, if you pray to God, he will heal you.
What about the people that haven't been healed?
Well, then their repentance or their prayers wasn't genuine. But I'm not putting words in God's mouth. It's up to God and who he decides to heal.
Okay, but so you can't really say if you pray to God, you'll be healed then. Got to be fair. It doesn't always happen.
I don't think it's ever
God moves stars for me. I have a relationship with God. Yes, I've mentioned this in my past debates.
I have a relationship with my girlfriend, and how I know that is that she texts me back when I talk to her.
Just a second.
That's what a relationship is.
Hold on a second. Earthrise, I rather liked Mike Billars' statement there. I'm going to read it out. Chuck Norris got an erection in downtown New York City. The date was September 11th, 2001.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
I do appreciate a good or tasteless Chuck Norris joke.
Yeah, obviously. Sorry, I've got to go. I'm on limited internet. I don't want to burn through my.
Okay,
McDonald's is kicking you out.
I think I have. Let's see. 2 more questions, if you don't mind.
Goodness.
That's it.
Okay. Yep.
From Glober Mom, can you ask Philip what is God's makeup? God has to be made of something, right?
My God is eternal. He has everything from the start.
That's
you
answered in a time reference, and she's asking for a material reference.
Well, he is immaterial, and that says in the Bible that he is an invisible God. That's just how it is.
Immaterial does not mean invisible.
Immaterial.
Those are not synonyms.
Yeah.
Yes, those are not synonyms.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Well,
immaterial is not invisible.
Immaterial just means a particular that is not tangible.
Right.
And you could use the word invisible.
No, invisible just means you can't see it.
Yeah, but hypothetically, you could see something so minuscule like an atom. It doesn't mean that the atom is invisible.
Invisible doesn't mean too small to see either. It just means you cannot see it, period.
Yeah, but you know it exists. Yeah, look, Nick, I need to go to the next question.
Let's move on.
All right. This is the final one for Philip. From Mike Billard says, you say lack of complete torment implies a good God by default, but I don't see complete happiness, which implies an evil God by default, right?
Well, if he's not happy, that doesn't mean that everybody else is not happy.
I don't think that was the question.
I don't.
Okay. Well, can you rephrase it again?
I will.
Oh, wow,
I
you're
will
really loud.
ask it again. You say lack of complete torment implies a good God by default, but I don't see complete happiness, which implies an evil God by default, right?
There was happiness with Adam and Eve, so they failed their test, and that answers his question. I've got to go. That answers his question. God bless you all.
Okay.
Thanks
See you,
for hosting.
Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Bye.
All right. Phil does have a channel. It's linked in the description.
Sure does.
I have. Yep. And people were asking Dell about your channel. Dell has one video that's 6 years old. I don't think it really applies to your
like 4 years old.
Yeah, your robots thing. People are interested in your robots thing. So there's an opportunity for some videos for you there.
All right.
Okay.
Could be fun.
All right. AJ Hype. I meant to say electromagnetism makes Philip a polytheist. Thank you for that. 3 Ron says, Aman, I don't have to lie. I know God doesn't exist. And to go with, I don't think an honest, and I don't think you can do that either. I don't think you can.
I know I said
either,
I know God doesn't exist. Yeah. It's not. I can't prove that there isn't a God. I should phrase that differently. yeah, you can't make a definitive statement either way, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's
I'm
proving,
always open to that. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Proving a negative, right? You can't prove a negative. Yeah. You can a positive, so the other side could be. Magellan for 5 Singaporean dollars says, if you pray to God, you will be healed, except insert made up stuff. No true Scotsman.
See, before you're born, you have to read the fine print.
Yeah,
it's like an Apple warranty.
It is a challenge, and his answer, and I don't think a lot of people are satisfied with this. Really, that then you must not have had the right something, and that's the no true Scotsman part of it. So it's tough.
Yeah.
There's no solid answer there, and I think that Christians don't have that answer.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of put himself into a corner that you didn't. He said that God's that's his whole argument, is that God is everywhere, like definitively everywhere. So he has to address that.
He said he's
as opposed to you, I think, where it's not
infinite size. That baffled me.
Yeah, because if you have a box that boxes the entire universe, and you have a thing that fills up that whole box, it fills up the whole thing. But it's not infinite. Like, it doesn't have to be infinite to fill the entire universe.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's getting that. And I don't get the whole how he knows that it's an agent either. But I guess we'll never know.
The agent stuff is I just don't.
I like Worm God, personally.
So Glober Mom says he kept using the Bible as a fact of God existing. So that becomes circular. He was trying to use like the laws of thermodynamics and movers, and he never addressed the shakers, but and agents and all that to somehow establish these things. Which, okay, but that. There's the gap then to say that one particular God.
He loves that word.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
It's
people.
Amazing.
I know you've had your fill of hearing that word. Anyway, I missed the logic. It seemed to me like it was just spackling to go to. It's this of the Bible.
There's a gap, though, McToon. There's a gap.
There's a gap, and we can get the spackling at Home Depot. Or Lowe's if you don't have a Home Depot nearby. I prefer Menards. I don't think they keep it in stock.
They're right next door.
They always are right next door, it seems.
It's great, yeah.
So, that was interesting. He did not want to address Flat Earth at all, and you thought, and I thought that it was
converted him.
Yeah. Well done. First one.
I totally thought he was going to go for that. I have it written down here, like, make sure to get the platform. He just kind of said, I'll give you the globe.
Yeah. I'll have to change the thumbnail. So,
I don't know.
Well,
he's kind of goofy.
Anything you want to say here before we go?
I don't know if there's much I can say after that.
Thank you for that. I'm glad that you brought this to the channel. It was interesting. I know NS. Darn it, I forgot. Is like never again, never Phillip again.
I don't know if he has any other points even.
No, he really doesn't.
I don't know.
Do you know that they were gonna put Chuck Norris on Mount Rushmore, but the granite was not hard enough for his beard, so they got rid of that.
Do you have a book of these?
No, that's right here. I memorized them. I have in just under an hour a debate. I was challenged to debate from Billy Zig, who has written a book called The Elusive Curve that I have now read. And he's from Australia and thinks the Earth is flat. And in fact, in the book, uses the AE map, the Gleason map. which living in Australia, I'd think he would be like, nah, that map is wrong because I know how big my country is. But no, he references that map. Crazy guy. He challenged me, but now it seems he's got cold feet, but I've got a plan.
He backed out?
I don't know. I'm going to send him a link. But I got a plan because he lied. Somebody sent me some messages saying that Billy Zig claimed that we had a debate and that he wrecked me in that debate. Now, he has been on my channel, and it was a coffee with a flat earther where we just had a polite chat. We did not debate. We didn't really bring up points. So it was not a debate. So I said, no, we didn't have a debate. Billy, why did you say that? They said, oh, no, I didn't say that. I have screenshots. Screenshots for all that. And my book review has been written. It is long. I don't know if it'll...
So is he showing up tonight?
Or
is it's just invited?
I'm going to send him a link. I have his email address. He blocked me on Facebook bravely. I sent
Flat Earth 101.
I sent a message to one of his friends who lives in Australia as well about this, saying, hey, whatever. I even gave him the time, said whatever time you want, and he said this 11 p.m. Central Time, which is I think 2 p.m. in Australia. So,
Mr. Sensible, if you're watching, I don't know if you got my last email because check that. I was talking to him about
pretty late for him.
we were talking. I was going to have him on this channel, on that channel.
Oh,
but then I don't know if he just didn't get the email or what.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's that. Thank you to everybody who super chatted and channel members and patrons. I appreciate it very much. I'm working on some lighting and a fan. Oh, let me show it quick. A fan. This fan right here. I've got two of them. One sitting on my computer right now, so it won't overheat anymore. So there we go. All right, that's that. We will see you in an hour, and maybe next week. I'm hoping to have a video coming out this week too. So, all right, we'll see you then. Bye.